I'd like to invite the next speaker, Mr. Ramak from University of Geneva. Mr. Ramak, and please have the floor and start your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Wake, for the introduction. So I'm going to share my screen. There's a presentation. You should see it, I think. Yes, you see it now?
Yeah.
Do you see it? Yes?
Yes.
Okay, so we're going to talk identity management related to know your customer and anti-money laundering certification. So mostly related for financial applications that we called when they are decentralized finance or DeFi. And see how hardware wallets, secure hardware wallets with a secure chip inside can be used to improve the current situation, especially to allow poor people without expensive smartphones to maybe able to transact with cryptocurrencies even when they are in locations that are not connected, or when there is a disaster and no data is available. So to be able to still transact, do transactions on blockchains, even when there is no connection. So we have started this ecosystem called DeFi for Good. So we try to apply those technology, especially to be able for poor people to benefit from these innovative financial services. And also QICML from an identity point of view, anti-money laundering is made to exclude bad people. So most of the time, these decentralized finance systems are permissionless, meaning that anybody can join and use the system. So either borrow or lend money, but then you could borrow or lend money to potential terrorists. So at least if the account has passed know your customer and anti-money laundering, you have less chance of having this bad situation. Then also you have some organizations, international organizations that are recommending any country to enforce that the financial services, the banks, and then now even these decentralized finance services to do QIC and AML. We see that also the countries are interested in offline transactions when a number of them are working on their own country digital currency called central bank digital currency, CBDC. And a number of them have underlined that to be able to do offline transactions is important. Especially when you have natural disasters and so on. So people should still be able to use their digital currencies. Otherwise, they couldn't even shop or do other transactions when there is a big natural event happening. So you see that there are, for example, the European Central Bank, the Swiss National Bank, a number of them. But it started first with, I think this requirement started first with the People's Bank of China, the Chinese Central CBDC, made clear that they wanted this requirement to have dual offline transactions possible, meaning that not only the payer should be able to not be connected, but also the seller should be able to do the transaction even if the seller is not connected to. So the two dual means the two should be could do it even if they are both disconnected. And what happened is that for poor people, unfortunately, in some countries, they don't have official documents, identity cards, or proof of address. So, for example, in the favelas in Brazil, the streets are not well indicated, and maybe the people are living in houses that are not well situated, and so it's difficult for them to have proof of address. So the Financial Action Task Force, which is the international body trying to recommend some good behaviors and good regulation for these financial services, said that actually the printed documents, identity documents, are not mandatory. Other tools could be used. And that's what we try to do, is to also use innovative digital mechanisms to be able for some people, for example, in the favelas, to still be able to prove their address, even if they have not a printed document, but maybe there is other information. Also, most of the time, what the FATF recommends is that a risk-based approach should be used. And so if it's low amount of money, like $10, $100, for poor people it's a lot, but for others it's low. If it's a low amount of money, then also the risk-based approach means that you don't need as much evidence as for 1 million transaction or even more. So it could be adapted. The identity evidence could be adapted to the amount of money that is transacted. And then also the FATF, as I said that even now, the decentralized finance services that exist now that are permissionless, but they clearly said that soon they should identify the borrower and the lender and so on. So permissionless is going more and more under regulation scrutiny. So that's the reason that we started to work also with Susanna as well, with members of different groups at the ITU. We started to discuss, how we could not have KYCML as paper documents printed, but as certificates and digital certificates. And the idea is that, for example, UBS is a Swiss bank, just for the people who don't know. So, for example, if someone would go to the Swiss bank, UBS, he could get a digital certificate by UBS after UBS has verified the name, the place of residency of the user, could deliver digital certificate. So basically, it could be an X509 extensions or the new World Wide Web Consortium verifiable credential. And then we are discussing, here what we try to standardize are not very complicated fields, but fields that would be very useful for being able to have certificates that ensure that a user has passed KYCML 10 days ago, 5 days ago, and then because they are digital certificates, they could be put into hardware wallets. So still, there is this issue of trust in the certifier. If it's UBS, it's a non-entity, so you could think of, as in web certificates, an official list, registry of official entities that are supposed to be enough trusted to certify those certificates. But you could also have a web of trust, like PGP, pretty good privacy, when different entities would sign and certify some information about the user, proof of address, and so on. And then, then there is this trust issue, and so here we could use computational trust to try to still have some trust in these certificates, although they are not based on top-down chosen entities. The other problem that we have, even if we have these digital certificates into hardware, most poor people, they cannot afford expensive smartphones and also expensive data subscriptions. Also, they live maybe in slums, in desert, harsh conditions. So if you have an iPhone, an expensive iPhone might not be enough resistant for these environments. And in many places, like in deserts and jungle and so on, there is no data coverage. So offline transactions are also important in these locations. And as we said, the central banks anyway said we should have offline transactions for their CBDC. So here again, the People's Bank of China, they led this. They are the most advanced in the digital currency field, and they have almost already started some trials. So they have hardware with their central bank's digital currency. They have also some trials with some hardware. Secure hardware that are given to users and help to be able to do some digital currency transactions even in remote locations when you are not connected. So they patented a number of mechanisms, but all of them are more also connected still to a government controlled currency, which is normal because it's a country currency. So also for other people outside of China, so you have this kind of between countries question of privacy issue. If foreign governments can see more information on the DLT or the blockchain, because in the Chinese solution, the governments can see most of the things, but they made sure that some parts are still private. So, for example, intermediate levels, if you have a shop will not be able to see as much things as the government. So there is some level of privacy, but when you go outside, you have this kind of country power and so on. So this solution might not work globally because maybe other populations would not want to use it due to privacy issue. Visa also proposed the use of a hardware security module as a solution for CBDC. And why? Because they said, okay, more and more devices actually have secure hardware modules or trusted execution environments. The cost of breaking such hardware is still high. In 2010, it was more than $100,000, and with a high risk of destructions when you were trying to extract keys from such device. Now they are even more secure. But also the idea maybe could be like in Moneo. It was an e-money hardware wallet used in France a few years ago. For low amount of money, maybe up to 1,000, 5,000. It's not really worth trying to extract it with such a big amount of expensive equipment. So Visa says it's possible. I mean, it's very credible to try to use hardware wallets because there are more and more available. But they say in their report that the problem is that you could lose, of course, if you lose the hardware wallet, in most solutions, you lose the amount of money that you had inside because they are locked inside. So in parallel to my work at University of Geneva, I'm a CEO of different companies, and REPUTACTION is one of them. And we filed a patent in 2018 to be able to use such secure hardware wallets, but not only for only one CBDC or very specific digital currency, but for the already available digital currencies that exist. Such solution is compatible with Bitcoin and all Ethereum ERC20 compatible tokens, and some CBDC might have an implementation on ERC20. So basically, it could be also be used for CBDC, and we have also this what we call stable coins, coins that are stable relatively to fiat currency, a country currency. USDT, for example, is supposed to be backed by, when you have one USDT, you have $1 because they have $1 in their reserve. But there are trust issues because, of course, they haven't done so many audits. And then, anyway, with such solution, you have always the trust issue if it is not provided by a central bank, because the central bank, you are sure that they create the money. So if they say that you have one yuan or €1 or $1 bon, they cannot say it is not backed because they are creating it themselves. So our solutions, solve this issue of losing the hardware wallet. But today, so we are more discussing how QACML certificates can be used to even improve these solutions. So, yes, I also mentioned that I've already started to work with some central bank projects. I'm open to others because this solution can be used, as you see, in many different types of digital currencies. We are also raising funds for private, we are at a private funding round. So the technical layers of our solution is that, okay, we have this hardware wallet, secure hardware wallet, and this could be similar to a ledger wallet, or the normal crypto hardware wallets. But what is different is that first, the user itself, the owner, will never be able to extract, to make a copy of the private keys of the addresses that own some tokens. Maybe you know that Libra Diem is based in Geneva, and so we talked with them. So that's the reason here I say, for example, in this hardware wallet, you see, which is resistant. The idea is that it is waterproof, shockproof for the poor people in difficult areas to still be able to get it working if it falls into some water or else. And Libra was also targeting financial inclusion, so we had discussions about that. So basically, we have in this hardware wallet some private keys that with addresses that control addresses that have Libra, Diem, Bitcoin, Ether, or ERC20, central bank digital currency, normal. But the only point is that you will never be able to back up it. So you need to, the hardware doesn't allow you to do that, but this is a feature, it's not a limitation. So around it, we have this, it's in a security chip, so only the chip knows the key, and nobody else, even the owner, can know it. And then around, we have this, also the chip has some enforced intelligence. So it's where we will have also the use of the QACML certificate. So basically, when you go into the jungle or the desert, you put your certificates into your hardware wallet. You put also some coins, Libra, for example. And then when you meet someone else, before the transaction is allowed with another user in the desert, for example, offline, you will, the certificates will be checked. And for example, it will say, okay, this person has passed QACML 20 days ago, certified by an official bank, because here we could have a top-down hierarchy of trusted entities. And so then this is okay. So you see, here we exclude terrorists or criminals, because we do this KYC ML check with the offline because the certificates allows us to do it offline. And so here, if you see, we have this nomad in the desert. So the first, when he's in town, for example, for a few days, he will put 10 libras or diem into the device. So then he can be disconnected. He go into the desert, there is no connection. He will meet someone who has also a device and some water. So he wants to pay with 0.1 Libra. The seller, had these QACML certificates because they went to the city also maybe 2 months ago, but for low amount of money, as we said, risk-based approach allows you to do it. We could have also some computational trust or reputation computed on top of it. We can have different solutions to agree to grant that for the device to grant access to the transaction. And so if the device check the QACML certificate, it will say, oh, yes, okay, it's fine. And then what happened is that this is the key thing. What happened, the private key of the Nomad, the first device will move encrypted into the device of the other woman who sells water. And so now she will be the only one to be able, when she gets back connected, to access the 0.1 Libra that was on the blockchain on such address. And so you see, the main point is that no human will never see private keys. And then we have also a solution, as I said, if the device is lost, the initial owner won't lose the money. Okay, so this is the end of my presentations. We have another event on June 7th on DeFi for Good, you can see, if you want to know more about this decentralized finance for good. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Remarque, for your excellent presentation. I'd like to give the floor to the audience here for your question. So if you have any question, please raise your hand or I have a simple question for you, Mr. Remarque. I think it is a very in your implementation is a very small device. So how to authenticate, how to identify the identity of the user. For example, you use the biometric identity or PIN or some other mechanism to identify the user. How to, yeah.
Okay, so at the moment, the device also, the goal is to have a device which is low cost, right? Yes, of course. So then we could think of some biometrics check, right? But otherwise, also, what can happen is that of course, the transactions that are done offline cannot be stopped until the person goes back online. But you see, there is always at some stage the user will come back online, and so if for example, by analyzing the different transactions, it seems that we detect that the user, for example, gave some tokens to other people, that several users use the same account, or it was not the real user. If something is detected, then the user might be blacklisted, which is not in the favor of for him. It's not favorable for him. So we don't. Sometimes we don't. It's not mandatory that we have the real world identity, because we will also use a risk-based approach, and sometimes you might have enough evidence for low amount of transactions without having the real world identity linked to the transactions. So there are a number of ways to do it. This is open actually to discussions with the different projects that we are helping to implement such solution, depending on which level of protection they want. Different solutions are possible.
Yeah, so that means your hardware, the wallet is very similar like the physical wallet with cash. If someone get the wallet, they can use the money without any certification of the user.
No, because here you will have a password, right?
A password on it.
Yeah, you have a password to enable the transactions. But I mean, I thought it was more a question of, because, for example, you could have a device, you put your certificates into the device, then you give it to someone else with a password. The guy will be able to, if you don't have a biometric, so depending if we have, if the device, if it's cheap enough to have a biometric fingerprint, then, and I've seen already, it's not impossible, because I've seen already some solution like this, not very expensive. So then there is no problem, because only the user with the good fingerprints will be able to use or grant the transactions. Otherwise, I mean, with the password, then after we can, when the device comes back online, or the money that we was transacted offline comes back online, then we can we can do after checks, and maybe punish the user if something bad happens.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah, I see a question from the chat box. A similar question like myself, Mr. Rafael Batia. He asked that I missed that. He said, how do we guarantee that if we lose the device, we don't lose our money? Yeah. So
yeah. So this is clear. This is very quite complicated to explain. So we could discuss it as part of if we do a project, but we have a solution for that. Yes.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I think I understand it depends on the expense. Yeah, depend on the how you want to change to make the device cheap. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. So is there any other question?
Yeah, I have one question. So what's a major difference from the other existing hardware wallet?
The major difference is that you are able to transact cryptocurrencies offline, and there is no this is not a hardware with normal hardwares. because the users they know the private keys, they would be able to do double spending. What we say, they could do double spending attack. So here the solutions allows us to forbid your user to be able to do a double spending attack, because the user doesn't know the private key, right? So.
Thank you. Is that clear for you, Xinxin?
Yeah, that's okay.
Thank you very much for your question and for your answer. So if we have no more questions, let's move to the next. Thank you very much, Mr. Mark, for your excellent work and presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we can keep tuned with your latest progress in the future. Yeah, thank you very much.